Hello, all. We're just waiting for Councilor McCabe to call in. And maybe what we can do, we have a,
And Chris Fournier is on the line.
okay, Chris Fournier is on the line. Does everybody know each other? We have a new counselor here, Counselor Norman Beck. Do we need to do a roundtable introduction, or does everyone know each other?
I'm Shallon Hendry.
Sorry, I didn't get your name.
I'm Shallon Hendry.
Shallon
Hendry.
Hendry. Okay.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, Shallon.
Nice to meet you.
All right, well, I think that was the only new faces and to be introduced. So I can call the meeting to order. And I am now, this is my first official day to be your new chair, so thank you and welcome. This will be the best committee ever. Board, I should say. So could I have an approval, or are there any declarations, first of all, of conflict of interest? Okay, seeing none, could I have an approval of the agenda? We just have the one item? Okay. And an adoption of the minutes from November 21st meeting. Okay, Alan and, okay. All righty, so are there any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none, we can move right on to the first report. And it says here that Robert is giving this report. Is he on the line?
No, Robert is sick, so you'll have to deal with me.
Okay, well, over to you, Mr. Forbes.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. This is an application and staff encourage the planning board to recommend to council to approve the request. Robert has a little bit of a typo in his report. He says to reduce, where it should say increase. So to approve the request to increase the maximum allowable height of a building from 11 meters to 12.4. And then the next sentence should, and reduce the required rear yard setback for 7.6 meters to 4.78 meters to construct a new recreation facility, the Simmons Sports Center, on property identified at 170 North River Road. So the purpose of the proposed height and rear yard variances is to construct a new recreational facility to replace the existing Simmons Sports Arena. The city intends to construct the new recreational facility while operating the existing Simmons Sports Arena that will be decommissioned and closed later. Since the existing Simmons Rink Arena will continue to operate during the construction of the new facility, the site is limited in terms of the placement of the new facility. So construction of the new facility will occur between the existing arena and Colonel Gray Senior High School. Once the new facility is built, the existing arena will be demolished. So in regard to the first variance, to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 7.6 meters to 4.78 meters, it'll bring the proposed arena closer to the adjacent high school. Again, the second variance is to increase the maximum allowable building height from 11 meters to 12.4 meters, which would make the building the tallest building in the immediate vicinity. Notwithstanding, the proposed reduction in both the rear yard setback and the building height should have minimal impact and save and accept the rear northwest portion of the adjacent high school. The location of the proposed arena is buffered by other institutional uses, recreational green space and schools, with adequate buffer distance from surrounding residential properties, with the nearest residential property being over 100 meters away. Staff feel that the proposed variances are appropriate, given the existing constraints outlined by the manager of recreation, Frank Quinn. He has indicated why they have had to pursue these variants with the lot the way that it's configured, particularly in light of the fact that the existing arena will stay in place while it's being built, so they have limited options. And he gives some detail at the back of your report and how they've tried to correct that. If you look at your site plan, that's up on the screen. It's just in one corner where the setback is particularly tight on that corner, and they've tried to make some adjustments to reduce that. There is one letter of concern from a resident in the area, and therefore, staff are prepared to support this application. Mr. Quinn is here and present at the meeting if you have any questions of him. So therefore, staff are prepared to support this application, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
I'm going to open it up for questions if anyone has some questions.
I have one question. Do they know what they're planning to do with the space where they're going to take down the existing arena? Will that just become green space?
That's my understanding that Frank is here, but which, to a certain degree, maybe some may perceive that that's being a bonus because the building will be set back significantly, and it's always nice to have a large green space in front of an institutional building.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, can I ask the manager of Parks Recreation, or maybe Alex might know it. So, Alex, it's going from 11 meters to 12.4 meters in height. What's the height of the, I think it's the band, it's where the band, Colonel Gray band practices, it's Colonel Gray, part of Colonel Gray. Is that 12 meters?
I'm sorry, Your Worship, I wouldn't have that, right sort of at my fingertip, but it's a relatively small variance. 11,
Right, it's only 1.4 meters.
Right, and
Right.
and again, with a building of this size, but particularly the fact that it's set back so significantly, should be relatively minor in regard to the impact in the area, particularly where it's located. But I don't know the height of the adjacent school.
Frank, Frank, what's the current height of the Simmons Arena? The height at the peak, do we know that? Is it 10 meters?
I don't know it right off, but it's within the 11 meters. And just with regards to the new Simmons building, the front of the building is going to be 11.55 meters. And it's the high point of the building that is 12.4 meters.
Right,
So
closest to the school.
Yeah, it will look lower than what it is because of the way that it's actually designed.
Okay. And the setback, I think that wall is, the setback is, we're going from 7 to 4 meters, I believe, something in that area. So where it's going to be set back the closest to the school, I think that, again, is an area that is bricked up. There's no exit or any reason for it to interfere with the school's sunlight or anything that they are getting right now. Do we know that?
Yeah, so the area where it's closest to the school property line is not the school. The school property line is actually at the parking lot end. So once you get away from that parking lot end, it actually becomes further away from the school.
Okay, I'm seeing it there now. I think that's the area that they use for the automotive and their Woodworks program. Okay, so there's an open space. It's not like we're going right on the back of the wall of Colonel Gray. It's closest to the open space that we call the Colonel Gray staff parking lot. Thank you.
And I'm assuming that we've applied a full accessibility lens to this project as we moved along.
Correct. Yeah, the building will be fully accessible, and that's recently we just ordered the elevator, and we've done designs to the inside of the warm room and everything to make it fully accessible.
Does anyone else have any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Madam Chair, no questions about the variance, but just wondering about the timeframe for the project.
I'm sure I've made notes here somewhere. It's a lot of details to keep up in the old noggin. So I did provide this to Robert, but as of right now, we've awarded the TP1, so which is the actual billing envelope, and it's expected to arrive mid-April range, late April. The TP4, which was the concrete and the underground services and site prep, is scheduled to start probably in the range of early March. It was going to try to get started this fall, but because we didn't have our building permit in process or in place, we couldn't proceed. and they figured they'll just push it back and add it on the front end of when they were going to start the actual concrete work. Then after that, everything else will start to come in place. The pool is anticipated to start in the spring of 2023. And then we would be, we still have 2 more tenders to go out, which is the front steel, the masonry, remaining building envelope, mechanical, electrical, and interior packages, and then also the rink engineering specialty packages. So those are still to go out, but we've already awarded the pool. The elevator is in the process of being ordered. So yeah, so we're anticipating, if everything goes as planned, to potentially have the facility open September of 2024. So it's there has been supply chains have created some bumps in the road, and then also just the availability of contractors and everyone even to be interested in bidding on these projects as well. So
Thank you for that, Frank. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Frank, what does rink engineering specialty package entail? TP7 there?
yeah, it's the very technical part. It's the operations of the rink, the interior part of the rink. So that's your it used to be your chiller type package, your surface, your ice surface, all the HVAC system. So it's all the more technical part that's required inside of a rink.
Okay,
So yeah.
thank you.
Thank you for that. Anybody else?
Madam Chair, can I just add a supplementary question? When I look at the last page of our document on the email from a local resident, I would suggest building a 3D model of the completed project so that the reality of what is being proposed can clearly be seen by all stakeholders. Is that something that's done by practice in the architectural field to give people or give any of the stakeholders a view of what it'll look like over the next, he says 100 years. I think buildings, this rink that we call Simmons is 50 years old. I think if you get 50 years out of a building, you're doing quite well. So are there models that we use? Shailene, can I ask you that?
Yeah, typically.
Could you just use your mic?
Yeah, typically there's a 3D rendering of this. I think there was one in the paper, maybe, was there?
There is, yeah, there is a 3D
Yeah.
rendering, and I'm not sure whether you provided one, but there is as part of the TP packages that all went out, there was 3D renderings, but what we could do is provide something that sort of shows it on the actual, the property. I could ask our architects for that, and I'm sure there might be an extra charge, but
Yeah, so Madam Chair, I think that's something we can put through the comms department, communications department, to get something like that out. So it can show, again, when I looked at the original drawing, I was placing it closer to the band part of the Colonel Gray High School, but it's not. It's part of the parking lot for staff, so it doesn't look like it's that close. But I would suggest, Madam Chair, if we could just put that up to say that if you want to see the renderings of a 3D model, here's what you're going to see.
Ellen, you'll be able to send that information along to comms to ensure we get that out to the public?
I'll have to check with Robert to provide the package.
Okay. Alex, you don't see a problem with that, do you?
It's actually an issue for Mr. Quinn. Mr. Quinn has got to give us the model, and then we'll have to indicate that it's available. We don't want to indicate that it's available when it's not. So I'm sure when Frank indicates that his people have provided it, then we can work with comms people to get it out.
what I'll do is I'll consult with the architect firm that we've hired. I know we have 3D models. Whether we have a 3D model that shows it on the lot where it's in proximity to the other buildings, I'll have to confirm that, but I'll see what we have available and posted what we have right now.
That's the beauty of AutoCAD.
Great. And a timeline for when you think that might be posted?
As soon as I can request it and as soon as they can get it to me. I would hope to have it by the end of the week and have it posted next week.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else? All right. Well, Is there any new business before we adjourn?
Oh, you're going to have to take a, you have to get a,
Oh, yes, we need a resolution.
right, right. Mhm.
Right. Do we have somebody that wants to move under staff's recommendation to proceed to council with a, okay? And seconded by Councillor Beck. All those in favor? Unanimous. Yep. In favor. Councillor McCabe's in favor, and Chris Fournier is in favor. They're both on the line. Okay. So I just have one more request. I have a mover for the adjournment. Moved by His Worship, seconded by Challen. Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Chris.
Is he 70?
He must be.
Yeah, because he's, yeah, like he's,